At 72 years old, Sig Hansen has finally broken his silence, and what he revealed has caught the attention of every Deadliest Catch fan. After decades of battling the brutal, unpredictable waters of the Bering Sea, Sig has chosen to speak candidly about something fans have long speculated: the cast members he simply couldn't stand working with. Known for his no-nonsense leadership style and unfiltered honesty, Sig's revelations aren't about petty grudges or fleeting disagreements. Instead, they reveal real, deep-rooted clashes, from explosive arguments on deck to tense personal conflicts that unfolded behind the scenes. According to Sig, these 5 crew members managed to push him to his limits in ways that viewers never fully saw on camera. Now, after reflecting on his long and grueling career, Sig Hansen has decided to share his unfiltered truth about the tensions and rivalries that helped shape his decades-long journey on Deadliest Catch. Who are the people that challenged him the most? And how did it all begin? To understand that, we have to go back to the very beginning, to the origins of Deadliest Catch itself and the dangerous world it set out to capture. The story of Deadliest Catch began long before any cameras rolled across the icy waters of the Bering Sea. Crab fishing in Alaska had always been one of the most dangerous and unpredictable professions on Earth, a brutal occupation, passed down through generations, of fishermen who risked everything for survival. Despite the staggering odds, these men continued to face the sea's fury, driven by tradition, pride, and the promise of a good catch. It was this relentless human struggle that inspired television producer Tom Beers in the early 2000s. He wanted to bring the raw, unfiltered reality of commercial crab fishing to audiences around the world, and thus, Deadliest Catch was born. The series, presented in a documentary-style format, followed crews aboard different crab boats as they faced deadly storms, freezing temperatures, and mechanical breakdowns, all in pursuit of the season's most profitable haul. To make the show truly authentic, producers wanted captains who represented both experience and courage, men who could embody the spirit of Alaskan fishing. Among them was Sig Hansen, a respected and seasoned fisherman whose reputation preceded him. Sig was raised in Seattle and came from a long line of Norwegian fishermen. He learned the craft at a young age under the guidance of his father, Albert Hansen, mastering the discipline, endurance, and instincts required to survive the Bering Sea. By the time Deadliest Catch began filming, Sig was already the captain of the FV Northwestern, a powerful crab boat known for its high standards and tough crew. His hands-on leadership, strict discipline, and unwavering focus on crew safety quickly made him a central figure in the show's narrative. In the early seasons, Deadliest Catch captured the raw danger and relentless pace of crab fishing. Cameras followed the Northwestern through violent storms, icy decks, and mechanical failures as Sig and his crew raced against time and nature itself. His leadership decisions often determined whether the crew succeeded or barely survived. But Sig wasn't just a captain. He also became a storyteller. His ability to articulate the emotional and physical realities of life at sea gave the show a rare authenticity. As Deadliest Catch evolved, so did Sig's role. He became a mentor figure, both on the boat and behind the camera. Producers often sought his insights to better portray the psychological and physical toll of crab fishing. He was adamant about maintaining authenticity over drama, refusing to let the show exaggerate or manipulate reality. Sig insisted that every dangerous moment, every argument, and every heartbreak reflect the truth of the fishing life. His commitment helped transform Deadliest Catch from a typical reality series into a gritty, emotional documentary that resonated with millions. Over the years, Sig became more than a captain. He became the heart and voice of the series. Viewers were drawn to his stern yet compassionate leadership, his sense of humor under pressure, and his willingness to stand up for what he believed was right. Yet even with his commanding presence, Sig was not immune to tension. His leadership often meant stepping into the middle of disputes, mentoring young deckhands, and resolving crew conflicts before they turned dangerous. But sometimes those very efforts sparked arguments and strained relationships of their own. Sig's deep sense of responsibility sometimes collided with strong personalities on deck. And while he always aimed to maintain professionalism, there were crew members and even fellow captains who tested his patience. These weren't just workplace disagreements, they were philosophical clashes about leadership, integrity, and the right way to face danger at sea. Now, after years of keeping quiet, Sig Hansen has opened up about the 5 people who challenged him the most, the ones who frustrated, angered, and even disappointed him. And the first name on that list might surprise you: Jake Anderson. Jake Anderson began his journey on the FV Northwestern as a young, ambitious deckhand, eager to learn from one of the best captains in the business. Under Sig's mentorship, Jake endured the harsh realities of crab fishing, the sleepless nights, freezing temperatures, and unpredictable dangers of the Bering Sea. Sig saw potential in Jake, but he also pushed him hard. He scolded, corrected, and challenged him constantly, believing that true strength was forged through discipline. As Jake gained confidence, his ambitions grew. Eventually, he wanted to command his own vessel, make his own calls, and prove himself as a leader. When he finally left the Northwestern to captain the FV Saga, the once strong bond between mentor and protege began to crack. Their friendship turned into a quiet rivalry marked by differing values and clashing perspectives. One incident, in particular, exposed the divide between them. Sig, who believed a captain should always be on deck with his crew, was shocked to learn that Jake had chosen to paint parts of his boat while suspended in a tote, a move Sig saw as lazy and irresponsible. "That's not how a captain leads," Sig said bluntly in an interview. To Jake, it was simply practical and safe. To Sig, it represented a fundamental misunderstanding of what leadership meant. Their tension deepened during a mechanical crisis aboard the Saga when flames erupted in the engine room. Jake made the quick decision to evacuate part of his crew to safety, a move Sig saw as breaking the cardinal rule of captaining, never leaving your ship no matter the danger. "A true captain never leaves his vessel," Sig said afterward, his words revealing the deep divide between their philosophies. This wasn't born from hatred but from a collision of values, one rooted in old-school toughness and another shaped by a new generation's approach to leadership and safety. It marked the beginning of one of Deadliest Catch's most compelling and human rivalries, one that would forever shape Sig Hansen's view of the men who sail beside him. Despite the many disagreements they faced, the story of Sig Hansen and Jake Anderson was never defined by lasting hostility or personal resentment. Over time, Sig made it clear that his criticisms were not born out of arrogance or rivalry, but from genuine respect and concern. He recognized Jake's potential and, despite their clashes, reached out to him more than once. Sig invited Jake back aboard the Northwestern for joint expeditions, and offered his advice when Jake faced difficulties managing his own vessel. These gestures spoke volumes about the true nature of their relationship. Ultimately, the dynamic between Sig and Jake was less about personal conflict and more about the enormous weight that comes with leadership in one of the world's most dangerous professions. Both men learned valuable lessons from each other about patience, resilience, and the complex responsibilities that come with commanding a crew in the unpredictable waters of the Bering Sea. When it comes to Sig's relationship with his younger brother, Edgar Hansen, things were even more complicated. The two shared a long and intense history that began long before the cameras of Deadliest Catch started rolling. Growing up together in Seattle, the brothers learned the art and discipline of fishing from their family, a tradition that stretched back through generations. As the eldest, Sig naturally assumed a leadership role early in life, first on land, then later as the captain of the Northwestern. Edgar, on the other hand, was full of energy, ambition, and charisma, which sometimes led to moments of challenge and rebellion. He often tested boundaries with his older brother, sometimes in good fun, but occasionally in ways that ignited tension. Life aboard the Northwestern brought both brothers countless shared experiences. Nights spent battling storms, repairing engines in freezing conditions, and working side by side to keep the crew safe while hauling in valuable catches. Yet beneath those moments of teamwork ran a quiet current of strain. Sig believed firmly in discipline, structure, and accountability. He expected absolute focus and obedience from everyone on board, even from his own brother. Edgar, though undeniably skilled, had a habit of pushing limits and acting impulsively, which sometimes led to heated confrontations. Their most public and painful rift, however, didn't happen at sea. It came when Edgar faced legal issues that shook not only their family, but also the Deadliest Catch community. Following a conviction for sexual assault, Edgar was removed from the show, leaving Sig devastated. It wasn't just about the legal implications. It was the betrayal of trust, the damage to their family's reputation, and the personal disappointment that weighed on Sig. In an interview afterward, Sig expressed his heartbreak succinctly. "Family is everything, but actions have consequences." His tone was measured, but the pain behind those words was unmistakable. The aftermath of Edgar's removal put a deep strain on the brothers' relationship. On screen, viewers could sense the tension, short tempers, sharp exchanges, and long silences that revealed more than words could. Yet off-camera, Sig still tried to preserve some connection, expressing hope that Edgar could learn from his mistakes and eventually rebuild his life and their relationship. Even after Edgar's departure, the emotional shadow of their conflict lingered. Sig had to reorganize life on the Northwestern, redistributing roles, regaining the crew's trust, and managing the emotional toll of losing a brother and co-captain. Through all of it, Sig's commitment to integrity never wavered. He continued to uphold the belief that leadership means taking responsibility and setting an example, even when it involves painful decisions. His relationship with Edgar, though strained, serves as a powerful reminder of how deeply family ties can be tested by personal choices. It's a story about love and disappointment coexisting, about how accountability can both divide and ultimately define the people we care about most. Then there's Sean Dwyer, a fellow captain, businessman, and at times a philosophical opposite of Sig Hansen. The friction between them wasn't driven by ego or petty competition, but by fundamental differences in how they viewed leadership and risk. Sig Hansen built his reputation on caution, preparation, and prioritizing human life above all else. He had spent decades navigating the Bering Sea's brutal conditions, surviving storms that could crush steel, and guiding his crew through life-or-death situations. To Sig, the order of priorities was simple: crew first, vessel second, and profit last. Sean Dwyer, meanwhile, came from a younger generation of captains, entrepreneurial, growth-focused, and unafraid to push limits. His approach emphasized results, efficiency, and expanding his business's success. While undeniably skilled, his decision-making sometimes alarmed Sig, who noticed Dwyer's tendency to prioritize the catch over safety. Reports circulated that Dwyer occasionally sent his boat into dangerous weather conditions, skipped certain maintenance steps to save time, or extended shifts that pushed his crew's endurance. To Sig, these choices crossed a line. Their professional tension came to a head one season when both captains operated in close proximity during a series of severe storms. Dwyer's boat ventured into an area Sig considered too risky due to shifting ice and unpredictable winds. Sig tried to intervene diplomatically, offering advice and cautioning him about the dangers ahead. "This isn't just about dollars," Sig later recalled saying. "It's about men's lives. You can't compromise safety for a little more crab." But Dwyer defended his decisions, arguing that calculated risk was part of the business and that he could handle it. The situation escalated when Dwyer maneuvered his vessel through a narrow channel of ice to reach a profitable fishing zone. While the risky move succeeded, it infuriated Sig, who watched from afar in disbelief. On camera, his frustration was obvious. He shook his head, muttered about reckless choices, and made it clear that endangering men for money was something he would never condone. Despite how the public interpreted the feud, Sig's criticism wasn't personal. It was rooted in principle. As he put it in an interview, "You can't lead a crew if you aren't thinking about their lives. A mistake out here can't be undone." That statement captures the core of what divided Sig Hansen and Sean Dwyer. Their conflict wasn't just between two captains, it was between two worldviews, one that measures success through survival and another that weighs risk against reward. In the unforgiving world of Alaskan crab fishing, those differences can mean the line between life and death. Minor disagreements over navigation, handling of equipment, and crew assignments often snowballed into full-blown arguments on deck. Both captains were strong-willed men with firm beliefs in how a vessel should be run. Sig Hansen, known for his hands-on leadership style, never hesitated to step in whenever he observed something that might compromise safety. On the other hand, Dwyer defended his methods, insisting that his crew was capable, experienced, and fully aware of the challenges they faced. Despite these moments of tension, there were also flashes of mutual respect between them. Sig openly recognized Dwyer's skill, courage, and efficiency, while both men knew that running a vessel, catching crab, and keeping a crew alive in the brutal conditions of the Bering Sea required more than just toughness. It required judgment, instinct, and resilience. While Dwyer often pushed the boundaries of what was considered safe, Sig remained the voice of caution and accountability. Within the broader context of Deadliest Catch, their conflict symbolized something far greater than two captains butting heads. It highlighted the moral and practical dilemmas that every leader faces on dangerous waters. The show may appear to be a race for crab, but beneath that surface lies a constant struggle between ambition, safety, and ethical leadership. Sig and Dwyer's story, therefore, isn't just about rivalry. It's a powerful reflection on the difficult decisions captains must make when risk runs high, nature is unforgiving, and human lives hang in the balance. Through every clash and confrontation, Sig reinforced his reputation as a man of integrity, a captain who would never compromise on principle, no matter the cost. His leadership became synonymous with bravery, skill, and an unshakable commitment to his crew's safety and well-being. Watching the two interact, both on and off camera, gave audiences a deeper appreciation for the immense weight of responsibility that captains bear in the Bering Sea, where even minor disagreements can have life-or-death consequences. Disputes between Sig and Dwyer showed that when ambition collides with caution, friction is inevitable. Different leadership philosophies will always spark conflict, especially in an environment where one wrong move could spell disaster. Yet these same tensions brought depth and authenticity to the Deadliest Catch narrative, revealing the reality behind every decision made at sea. The dispute between Sig Hansen and Dwyer remains one of the most defining chapters of the show, a reminder that leadership is as much about judgment and character as it is about courage. Nick Mavar, another unforgettable figure from Deadliest Catch, brought his own brand of intensity to the deck. From his earliest days aboard the Northwestern, it was clear that Nick had the skill, stamina, and determination needed to face the dangers of crab fishing head-on. But his fearless attitude came with a reputation for hard partying and risky choices, traits that didn't always sit well with his captain. Sig Hansen, ever vigilant about the safety of his vessel and crew, had little tolerance for reckless behavior. Having spent decades battling the brutal seas, Sig had seen how quickly disaster could strike and understood that even small lapses in focus could lead to tragedy. Over time, Sig began noticing patterns in Nick's behavior that raised concern. Reports of heavy drinking and occasional substance use off the boat made Sig uneasy, as such habits could cloud judgment and compromise safety on board. Sig firmly believed that personal discipline and professional responsibility were inseparable. While he valued Nick's exceptional technical skills and physical endurance, he couldn't ignore the possibility that these off-duty habits might someday influence critical decisions during high-stress situations. Balancing concern with leadership. Tact, Sig chose to address the issue directly but carefully. He didn't want to alienate Nick or create unnecessary conflict, yet he knew it was his duty as captain to speak up. Their conversations were sometimes tense. In later interviews, Sig admitted, "I was worried about him, not because he couldn't, handle the work, but because I've seen what happens when someone isn't focused or makes a bad choice at the wrong time. Lives are on the line out there. This statement revealed Sig's deep sense of responsibility and his genuine care for the people under his command. Some of their disagreements were captured on camera, while others played out privately. Whenever Nick arrived on deck after a rough night or seemed less alert than usual, Sig's frustration was clear. Nick, proud and fiery by nature, often reacted defensively, insisting that his personal life never interfered with his work. Despite these clashes, a strange but strong bond formed between them. Sig's tough love approach and Nick's fierce independence often collided, yet they also pushed each other to grow. Sig respected Nick's ability to perform under immense pressure, especially during storms or emergencies, while Nick gradually came to understand that Sig's warnings came from experience, not criticism. One stormy season, a tense moment between them became symbolic of their entire relationship. Nick was assigned a crucial maintenance task during rough seas, a job demanding complete concentration and physical endurance. Watching from the bridge, Sig noticed Nick struggling and immediately intervened, emphasizing safety and focus. Nick, confident in his own abilities, pushed back, assuring Sig he could handle it. Over time, the relationship matured. Sig learned when to step back and trust his crew, while Nick began taking Sig's lessons to heart, recognizing the wisdom behind his captain's concerns. Their conflict also underscored the pressure of performing in front of cameras. The show's reality format magnified minor disagreements for viewers, but beneath that surface was a genuine story about mentorship, accountability, and growth. Sig admired Nick's dedication and strength, while Nick, in turn, came to appreciate Sig's depth of experience and commitment to keeping everyone safe. Ultimately, their story was not one of hostility but of mutual evolution. Through their disagreements, both men developed a deeper understanding of what true leadership means. Sig's ability to guide without controlling and Nick's willingness to learn and adapt turned tension into respect. Their journey revealed that effective leadership isn't about authority. It's about trust, foresight, and empathy. In later seasons, their once heated relationship transformed into a partnership rooted in professionalism. Sig's guidance continued to influence Nick's behavior and decision-making, and Nick earned his captain's trust through consistent hard work and reliability. By the time the tension faded, what remained was respect, proof that even in the harshest environments, mentorship and mutual understanding can prevail. Then came Jonathan Hillstrand, another titan of the Bering Sea and one of Sig Hansen's greatest rivals and allies, rolled into one. Both men were seasoned captains with decades of experience navigating freezing waters, monstrous storms, and the endless grind of crab fishing. They were alike in their fearlessness, but divided by their leadership styles. Sig, ever the traditionalist, prized discipline, caution, and long-term strategy. Jonathan, captain of the Time Bandit, embodied a more daring and instinct-driven approach, bold, fast, and willing to take calculated risks. Their rivalry was far more than on-screen drama. It was about ego, legacy, and the emotional cost of competing in one of the world's most perilous professions. From the earliest seasons of Deadliest Catch, their differences were impossible to ignore. Sig's Northwestern represented steady, methodical operation, while Jonathan's Time Bandit thrived on bold gambles and quick decisions. This contrast often led to friction, especially when both vessels competed for the same crabbing grounds. The rivalry intensified during emotional moments. When Jonathan announced plans to retire from full-time fishing, Sig's reaction, "It's insulting to me," captured the depth of their connection. Beneath the blunt statement was a sense of loss. For Sig, Jonathan wasn't just a rival. He was the benchmark by which he measured his own success. Without that competition, something essential to his identity as a captain seemed to vanish. Both men pushed their crews to extremes, always striving for larger hauls, faster navigation, and smarter tactics. Their back-and-forth challenges often became legendary. When one took a risk, the other followed suit, keeping the race alive. While much of it was driven by pride, both captains also deeply respected each other's mastery of the sea. Sig sometimes criticized Jonathan for taking unnecessary risks, navigating through ice or rough waters to reach profitable grounds. Jonathan, meanwhile, viewed Sig's careful approach as overly cautious. Despite the verbal jabs and occasional tension, their rivalry was built on mutual recognition. They both knew the weight of command, the sleepless nights, the burden of responsibility, and the fear of losing a crew member. Even in heated moments, professionalism never disappeared. Their rivalry was never about hatred. It was about passion for the craft and pride in their crews. Sig admired Jonathan's bravery and leadership, while Jonathan respected Sig's discipline and unwavering commitment to safety. Their story is one of duality: boldness versus restraint, risk versus responsibility, pride versus principle. Over time, the tension between them settled into mutual respect. Each understood that the other's methods worked, even if they were vastly different. Sig remained the cautious strategist, and Jonathan continued to embody fearless decisiveness. Together, they represented two sides of what it means to be a great captain. Their rivalry, far from being manufactured television drama, became one of the most authentic and compelling narratives in Deadliest Catch. A story about pride, resilience, leadership, and the shared understanding that comes from surviving the world's most dangerous waters.